Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there between Jason, welcome back to the rundown, a 10-minute ripoff for the TCG. Today on the rundown, we're continuing our coverage of Blazing Dominion with a deck I wasn't even sure I was going to cover in the first place. I read these cards at first, and I thought they didn't really do much that was interesting. However, after giving them a try, I realized I was really wrong. After everything was put together, the games were filmed, and everything, Konami decided to make the deck even stronger. So, without further ado, please let me introduce to you Fairy Tale.
Whoa, look at those tooters!
That's right, today we're taking a look at Fairy Tale, a deck that pretty much wasn't a deck before this new wave of support. See, historically we've seen cards like Luna played in weird Kaiju Go second rank 8 decks. We've also seen cards like Fairy Tale Snow splashed in decks like Tearlumin, like Lightsworn, but what some people might not know is that there was another whole host of Fairy Tale cards, weird equip card mechanic, all that never came together to make a full deck until now. They also just recently put Fairy Tale Snow back to Limited 1. That's enough yapping for me. Let's go over the card by card. First up, we got one copy of Fairy Tale Snow, 3 copies of Fairy Tale Luna. Following that, we have our new Fairy Tale monsters. We got 2 copies of Fairy Tale Match-Giru. If a spellcaster monster with 1850 original attack is on field, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon the rest of this turn except spellcaster monsters. This card is no longer special summon. You can add 1 Fairy Tale Spell Trap or 1 Fairy Tale Tales from your deck to your hand. You can pay 500 life points. The name of one effect monster your opponent controls becomes Prince of Fairies. You can only use this each effect of Fairy Tale Match-Giru once per turn. So Match-Giru is a really cool card. She allows you to add all of the brand new Fairy Tale spells that were also released. And that's it for the Fairy Tale monsters. Let's talk the new Fairy Tale spells. First up, we got 3 copies of Fairy Tale Ball. When this card is activated, you can add 1 Fairy Tale monster or 1 Fairy Tale Tales from your deck or banishment to your hand. Your Fairy Tale monsters can attack directly once per turn if your opponent special summons a monster, and you control a Fairy Tale monster, except during the damage step. You can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. Also, its name becomes Prince of Fairies. You can only activate 1 Fairy Tale Ball per turn. So now you've seen this twice now, where we're changing the name of the opponent's monster into this Prince of Fairies. What that allows is basically to guarantee there's 0 chance of them having a Prince of Fairies in deck or extra, so Luna can just bounce any of their monsters. Next up is a brand new quick play, Once Upon a Fairy Tale. Special summon up to 1 light Fairy Tale monster from your hand, graveyard, and banishment with different names. Also, you cannot special summon the rest of the turn except spellcaster monsters. If this card is banished or sent to the graveyard except from the field, you can set this card. But it cannot be activated unless you control a Fairy Tale monster. So Once Upon a Fairy Tale is a really interesting card. Basically, we're able to summon a Fairy Tale from hand, grave, or banishment, meaning if we banish it with a card like Snow, or if we don't want to pay Snow's cost, we can just revive her. Once Upon a Fairy Tale also resets itself when banished, meaning it's a perfect card that can be used to pay for the cost of Snow to summon herself. And for our last of the new Fairy Tale spells, we have the quick play Tales of the Fairy Tales. The equipped monster gains 1000 attack. Once per turn during your main phase, you can fusion summon 1 spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand, field, and or Prince of Fairies your opponent controls as material. This card is in your graveyard. You can equip this card to 1 Fairy Tale monster on the field, then immediately after this effect resolves, you can also own 1 spellcaster monster with 1850 attack. You can use this effect of Tales of the Fairy Tales once per turn. This allows us to abuse the non-once per turn normal summon search on Fairy Tale Luna. Also lets us do a super poly-like effect to fuse away the opponent's monsters that we've turned into Prince of Fairies with like Ball or Match Girl. Next up, we have 1 copy of Jenny of the Ring. This is a TCG exclusive that on reveal people thought was going to be the Fairy Tale Snow replacement, if you want to call it that. This card is in your hand. You can target 1 face-up monster in the field, special summon this card. Also, the target becomes a spellcaster monster. The next time that target would be destroyed by a card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. Also, you cannot special summon the extra deck for the rest of the turn except spellcaster monsters. This card is tributed or banished to activate spellcaster monster's effect. You can add this card to your hand. So each effect of Jenny of the Ring once per turn. Yet it turns out Genia is also another great card to play alongside Snow. Next up, we're playing this neat little Diabell Star package. I'm not going to go into how this really functions in the deck. We're going to be showing off some combos, so you just get it then. So we're on 1 Diabell Star Black Witch, 1 Azmia Debtors, 1 Deception Sinful Spoils, and 1 Gaze of Timaeus. You probably saw it in the title already, but this is also Magistus deck, so let's talk about them. We're on 3 Spenta, 1 Rilliona, Zeroa, Crowley, and Witchcrafter Jenny. To go along with our Magistus, we are playing 3 copies of Very Magic Lacrima of Light. This card is a great extender if the opponent interacts with any of our other plays. Alright, now onto our non-engine. We're on 1 Terraforming, 1 Instant Fusion, 1 Metamorphosis, 1 Call by the Grave, 3 Molcharmi Fulos, Ash Blossom, 2 Effective Veiler, and 2 Troll and Lockbird. Now onto the extra, we have 1 Fairy Tale Wick Cat. Our only XYZ. Each Fairy Tale monster you control whose original attribute is light is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Fairy Tale Wick Cat once per turn. You can detach up to 2 materials from this card, send Fairy Tale cards from your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of attached. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect. You can target 1 Fairy Tale monster you control whose original attribute is light, special summon this card, and if you do, send that monster to the graveyard. So Wick Cat is our bridge card. This is the card that just turns any 2/4 spellcasters, notably all our Magistus. She's an 1850 on board, so we can special summon a Match Girl. If we send Match Girl, she can get Snow into rotation by just sending Snow from deck to grave. Then there's also the effect that makes our light Fairy Tales basically little towers, which I think is just pretty neat. Next up, we have 1 copy of Weaver of Fairy Tales. 1 Fairy Tale monster plus 1 Spellcaster monster. All Prince of Fairies on the field become Spellcaster monsters. During your main phase, you can special summon 1 Fairy Tale monster from deck or banishment. You can only use this effect to Weaver Fairy Tales once per turn. If you normal special summon a non-Earth Fairy Tale monster while this card is in your monster zone, except during the damage step, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. Also, its name becomes Prince of Fairies. So, if we use the Wick Cat effect to summon herself from grave, that can turn on the Weaver effect to target an opponent's monster, turn it into a Prince of Fairies, and then negate its effects. Weaver is also the card that lets both Instant Fusion and Metamorphosis be full combo for it. Next up, we're on 1 copy of Teller of Fairy Tales. Material 1 Light Fairy Tale monster plus 1 Spellcaster monster. Fairy Tale monster you control cannot be destroyed by battle. You only use each of the following effects of Teller of Fairy Tales once per turn. If this card is Fusion Summon using Prince of Fairies as material, you can destroy as many cards your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 Fairy Tale card from your hand or graveyard, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. So Teller is an incredible card. If you use the opponent's Prince of Fairies, it board wipes. It's an Omni Negate, but not only is it an Omni Negate, it banishes to pay for its effect, meaning we'll have a guaranteed Fairy Tale in banishment for Once Upon a Fairy Tale, or if we've already spent Once Upon a Fairy Tale because she says specifies Fairy Tale card, we can banish Once Upon, reset it with its own effect, and then we'll have it ready for next turn. Next up, our Magistus package. We're on 1 Zero, the Magistus Calamity. You don't often summon this guy. Usually he ends up just being an attachment, but it's nice to pivot when you get like Charmied into this dude instead. We're on 1 copy of the Fusion Zero. This guy's really good. This is our Nib installation. Then rounding out the Magistus, we have Magistus Trizo, Iwas, the Magistus Spell Spirit, Endymion, the Crescent Magistus, and 2 copies of Artemis, the Magistus Moonmaid. We have the cards to go along with our Dia Bellstar package. 1 copy of Summon Sorceress, 1 Charmer Quartet in Bloom, Azmina Ilia Sylvia, Dark Magician of Destruction, and the Red Ice Dark Dragoon to go along with him. It's hard to really describe how this package works, which is why I was saying when I show the combos, it's going to make much more sense. Now, onto the side deck. I'm not really sold on everything in the side deck. It's pretty much just play what you think works the best for where you're taking the deck or for your budget, because as you can see, this is a pretty expensive side. So we're on 3 Forbidden Crown, 3 Solemn Accusation, 3 Evenly Matched, Rivalry of the Warlords, Anti-Spell Fragrance, Harpy's Feather Duster, Crossout Designator, and 2 Triple Tactics Thrust. That is one of our longest card by cards in a while. Hopefully I can cut that down in editing, but let's check out some combos and then some games. All right, here we are. Not game number 1, no, this is in fact going to be combo number 1. Why are we showing off a combo? Well, because of the change with the most recent ban list, I had to come up with a new idea because I could not take the deck onto ladder. I'm just going to show off a combo here instead. This is the 1 card combo starting with 1 copy of Spenta. So we're going to go ahead and lead, activate that Spenta to add Riliona. We're going to go ahead and normal summon that Riliona and activate her effect, adding a copy of Vari Magic. We use the Vari Magic to then send Genia from deck to grave, and then link her off for Artemis. Jenny effect to copy the effect of the spell and then summon Zero. Zero effect to equip the second Artemis. Artemis will then add Crowley and then summon Crowley. Crowley effect then triggers to make us Nib safe, summoning the Fusion Zero. We then attach. It doesn't really matter if you attach with the Zero effect. I like doing it just so we have an extra thing on board to send for his effect, so we're not just sending him turn 1. Alright, so we summon back the Crowley and then we equip once again to make Chorozo. Now we overlay the 2 into Wick Cat and activate her effects, sending Match Girl and the equip. Match Girl effect gets Fairy Tale Ball. which we then activate to add a copy of Luna. Activate the equip the Witcat to then normal summon Luna, Luna effect to grab Snow. Alright, then we link 3 for Summon Sork, give our opponent the Snow, and summon Diabell Star for deck. Very important! Auto Sims will ask you if you want to activate Diabell Star effect. No, we do not, she is currently negated. That's why we link 4 into Quartet and Bloom and use its effect to bring back both Diabell Star and Luna. Diabell Star effect now sets Deception to Simple Spoils, which will then flip, banish for Demod, Demod effect, get the Gaze, then tribute, Demod for Deception, get Deaders. We are locked in the Spellcaster, so we can't fire this Deaders yet. Luna effect to bounce the Snow back to hand, and then fuse the 2 in hand to make Teller Fairy Tale. Sorry. Brilliant effect to then equip onto Zoro. Why? Because we can. And then we summon Dragoon just in case the opponent has something in draw. Obviously, this is just an AI bot from Omega, so they're not actually going to do any plays. But look, we use Deaders, summon Ilya Sylvia, and boom! All that off of just 1 Spento. Alright, here we are for our second combo, and this is Metamorph plus any level 4 monster. In this case, we're going to be using a copy of Molt Charming Fulos. So we'll hit the main phase, and then normal summon that Fulos. Then tribute it with Metamorph to summon Weaver. Weaver will then summon Match Girl from deck, who then activates to add Fairy Tale Ball. We then activate that Fairy Tale Ball to search a copy of Fairy Tale Luna. Now, from here, we're going to do the Magistus plays. This is because this demands a lot of interaction from the opponent, so we can kind of hope that we get some kind of pivot line if they do have interaction. So we're going to make Artemis and then link off for Endymion, attaching the Artemis using Artemis effect to then grab Spenta. Going to go ahead and activate Spenta to add Crowley and then summon out the Crowley. In this case, Crowley is just a level 4 for us and not a guy who wants to fuse. So we'll equip the Iwas since we're not going to be able to do the Crowley line, and then overlay 2 for Witcat. This gets the Quick Play and the Equip card. So we'll activate the Equip card, equip the Witcat, and normal summon Luna. Luna effect will then grab us Fairy Tale Snow. Alright, now let's link 3 for Summon Sork. Summon Sork, summon the Snow, and summon us Diabell Star from deck. Match Girl, who did not use her effect to summon herself, summons from grave, targets the Snow, and turns it into a Prince of Fairies, which can then fuse with the Equip to make our copy of Teller. Then, just like the previous combo, we link off for Quartet and Bloom to then get back Diabell Star and Luna. Diabell Star effect gets us Deception, Deception gets us, Deaders, we summon Demon, get the Gaze. It's pretty much the same thing here. If we didn't have to go through the copy of Endymion the Crescent Magistus, this is the part of the combo where we would link off for that to then equip Crowley, so we would have Crowley to make Iwas on the opponent's turn. But we don't have that luxury because we didn't have the extra normal summon because we had to lead with normal summon Fulos. Alright, then we're just going to fire off Make Dragoon now in case they have anything in draw, and then set our Deaders. Alright, obviously there's not much else to see here. They normal summon Kazaki again, and hey, that's the combo. Why don't we see the deck in a real game? Alright, here you are, game number 1, and we are against Cool Tune. You can see we're going first. We have Luna, Very Magic, Match Girl, Ball, and Spenta. They ash our Spenta, which allows us to use Very Magic to summon Zero from deck. We go Zero effect to equip Artemis. Zero then reborns the Spenta, which we link off for Artemis. Artemis effect to then add Crowley, and then use the Crowley effect, summoning himself from hand, and then Crowley effect again to fuse. Thankfully, we can play Nib safe now. We use Spenta, equip the Artemis to then make Chorozo. Let's re-equip. Like I said in the combos, I like to do this to make sure we don't have to send our Zoroa on turn 1. Alright, so we overlay for Witcat, we're going to send 2, and wouldn't you believe it, it's the Quick Play and the Equip. We open Luna and Match Girl, so we can just do whatever we want from here. Let's go ahead and add Genya. Why? Because I didn't have Snow at this time, because she wasn't legal yet. Alright, we'll activate Ball, get a second copy of Luna, and then use Match Girl's effect to summon herself, adding us a second copy of Ball. All our spells are in rotation at this point, so we can just do whatever. We're going to fuse for Weaver. Ooh, interesting I'm doing it this way. I feel like summoning Weaver is pretty good against Cool Tune because it takes away the names on field for the Synchro monsters who do specify names. Anyway, so we link off for Summon Sork, summon Luna to their board, summon our Diabell Star, Quartet, and Bloom. You've seen this before. Summon Diabell Star, summon Luna, Diabell Star effect, setting Deception, and then Luna is going to eventually bounce the other Luna. Maybe. Who knows? Alright, banish for Demod, get the Gaze, Deception, Tribute for Deaders. Activate the gaze now. Like I said, I like to play around things in draw phase. Finally, there goes Luna bouncing Luna, just like I said. And, oh, by the way, we had normal summoned. So let's add a second copy of Magic Girl. This would be a great place to add Snow if she was legal at this point. So they draw for turn and nothing in draw. They leave with a single overtake, so we go Debtors immediately for Ilya Silva. We don't want to negate this. We'd rather negate what they summon instead. So they go Rekko, and we go, Fairy Tale Ball, to target and hold. Fairy Tale Ball target to change this into Prince of Fairies and negate its effect. They chain KTS to try and dodge it. We go Ilya Sylvia to negate that KTS, and they chain the second KTS, which we then chain Dragoon to negate. That was a lot. I had to pause for you. I know I was going to get a little lost there. Anyway, so they normal summon Cool 2 mix. We go ahead and Zeroa chain Wickcat there. I actually forgot Zeroa also destroys a card, so I thought I was going to need to use the Wickcat summon to have Weaver change the name of their monster. Sorry. No more pausing. So we're going to flip the quick play, and they surrender. Yes, you can see they popped the Quartet in Bloom for some reason, and then they realized that they were just going to have just this Loudness War. So they said, all right, that's enough for me. I'm out. So we're back with deck, and hey, it's pretty good. I know we only showed one game today, but this video is already going to be way too long with me showing off the combos. And honestly, when I start comboing, I realized, man, this is like a minimum 5-minute combo. But let's talk strengths and weaknesses. First, the strengths. The deck has a lot of unique interaction that people don't even know is there. A lot of people get caught by the Fairy Tale Ball effect. People don't really realize that this is an interaction. Along with that, people usually don't notice the towers-like effect that Wickcat gives to the light Fairy Tale monsters. This deck also gets to play a real who's who of just evil spellcaster monsters. This is what I would call like the baby version of Spellcaster Slop, which will be a much more real deck in upcoming set releases. Let's talk weaknesses. Fuelos. This deck does not do well in the Fuelos. Very magic summons from deck. If we want to even bridge into the Fairy Tales, we have to make Wickcat. Deck also isn't perfect into Nibiru. Yes, I've showed you the anti-Nibiru line, but those lines don't do well into interaction. Getting ashed on the Artemis effect to add is devastating. There's also the big threat of cards like Impulse stopping us. And also, while the Fairy Tales are pretty strong into cards like Shifter and Di-Fi being able to just play out of the banishment, the Magistus cards hate that. But with all that said, I had a load of fun playing this deck. I thought it was really cool. I want to hear what you guys have to say about the deck. If you think there's something I played here that you wouldn't play, if you think my combos are bad or I'm missing some cards, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. And while you're down there, let me know what other decks from Blazing Dominion you would like to see me cover on this series. Anyway, that's it for me. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye.